It's so cute. They're having a normal conversation that's cute and not about murder.
You know, look at his face. It's so adorable. He's so tickled by her. He loves her so much. He's so entertained by her. I can't. I really can't. I'm so happy.
Welcome to The Story Thinker, a Webtoons and Witcher podcast for superfans with scene-by-scene analysis. Featuring sharp co-hosts for a fuller picture, we dive deep into character psychology, relationships, and theories. We'd love it if you could like, subscribe, comment, and rate us on all podcast platforms and social media. For bonus content, you can support The Story Thinker on Patreon. Let's begin. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 148 of Purple Hyacinth, Cute Celebration. Which, did you ever think we would get the word cute in Purple Hyacinth?
It felt like a lie. It felt like what else is there? But yeah, for the most part, it is what is on the box. It is what it said.
Mm-hmm. And we're here with Bundin and Joy.
Hello.
Awesome. Well, we are so excited because this is another fantastic episode. Just wonderful.
Everything we've ever wanted.
No. So we open up with the very famous cafe that Purple Hyacinth begins in way back. And it's literally the first place that Kieran and Lauren met. Now they're back. But now their interaction. I mean, they didn't interact at all the first time. But basically, Lauren's on a date. Cole's at a date, but this time with a much better person, because this guy is, as far as we know, not married and not a cheater.
I love how it's like this is the better date, but he's like a murderer. But at the same time, no, it is a better date because we know that Kieran, despite that, is a better human being.
Yeah. And he doesn't believe in sex before marriage, so there's that.
Yeah, the meme.
Oh, it's the best. And it's this stage and this beautiful afternoon glow. And it's just beautiful and serene and yellow tones and just lovely. And Lauren tells him, you are aware that I'm technically supposed to be hiding after yesterday, which legit was my thought. I'm like, girl, you are like in a glass fronted cafe. Really?
Yeah, no, it's like not very inconspicuous. Yeah. Isn't that the one where it's like you're trying to hide it? Yes, I think.
She's not even wearing a wig.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
Well,
we know she has wigs.
Then again, Kieran did rush her out pretty fast, so it's like it was totally one of those spur of the moment things. So I'm not sure if he's particularly thinking too much at this point.
Boy wanted to go on a date really, really badly.
Yeah. Well, and he is there. I mean, they both can protect themselves pretty well, I guess. And Kieran is sipping some coffee, looking very elegant, as we have already numerous times discussed. He's like, you hiding? Look, I am actually protecting you right now. See? Yes, he says so. And he's like leaning forward, just banging on the table. If I wasn't here holding you against your will, you'd be out there running after dangerous crime lords. Instead, you're safely stuck in a cafe with food in front of you. Oh, which is like the second time that we have seen her eat, right? She eats a little bit later.
The progress. We've come so far.
She went from one blueberry to one bite of cake.
One bite of cake, and I think also Kieran's getting more food too, because I was trying to remember I think he also has only eaten in season 1, and it was an apple.
He did eat an apple in season 1, yes. I remember because it was the morning after she slept over. Oh, iconic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, and I was happy when he ate something healthy. That was my first thought when I saw this cake. I was like, Lauren, you're finally eating, and it's cake.
And the girl deserves a cake. She got her promotion finally.
No, but I feel like she should eat dinner first and then cake. I don't know. I would like to have real food first. Anyway, whatever. Cake is great. Delicious. I love cake.
Cake is real food.
Listen, I love cake. If I was starving, I would want to eat like a meal and then have cake. But it's okay. Lauren can have cake first. I guess I'm saying this because I'm like really hungry now and I don't want cake. I want real food. Anyway. All right. So Lauren's like, you're depriving me of my sleep to risk my life on a date. with one of the said dangerous crime lord, which I didn't quite get the grammar, like the phrasing of the sentence, but she called it a day, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, she calls it a date. It is a date. If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it is a duck. It is a date. But also one thing I want to say is that, like, I don't know if this is just me, but it's like I feel like there have been a lot of grammatical errors recently, and I wish that they would put more like effort into making it like better, get like maybe another set of eyes on it before they put it out, because I don't know if I'm pretty sure that's the editor's job to make sure that everything is good. So it's like, editor, what are you doing? But then again, I know that sometimes maybe for fast pass things might not be like 100%, and then by the time it's good for everybody it's fixed and whatever. But like, I don't know, I'm just like, I don't know, these are like little things that like they should make sure that are, you know, better. But I think that's more on the editor than like F and Soph, in my opinion, potentially.
Yeah, I think that maybe they upload it really soon to the deadline, so maybe they don't have time. But I mean, for about this, we'll see. Yeah, it's whatever. I just try to. That's it.
I mean, you get what it means anyways, but like, I don't know, it does kind of pull me out of it sometimes when I'm reading, and it's just like, that's not the correct way to say it. But and it's been happening like regularly for me. I don't know.
For me, it's fun because like I love languages and language. I learn a lot about languages, and languages, you know, use different ways to say things. So when you're translating, you know, I think both Soph and F are not native English speakers, and even so, like they live in Canada where they speak, you know, the French part more, I think, than English. So it's just, to me, I find it interesting to see like what are they translating from, and like how does that come out in when they're trying to, you know, say it in English. So
yeah, that's why like that's why I try to keep that in mind and like not be too harsh on it. But also I feel like season 1 and 2 didn't really have a lot of these spelling errors, and I feel like this has been more of a season 3 thing. So I'm wondering I figure that it's probably the change in the editor that may be the reason for it, but I'm not sure. But either way, like for non-native English speakers who don't use English as regularly, it's they do a good job of getting across what they need to anyways. So
yeah. And Kieran gives her this little smirk, and he's like, isn't that what we've been doing since day one? Which once again just means Kieran thinks they've been dating since day one. Okay, I think I might be pushing it. I don't think he really thought that, but whatever. It was
playing along with it.
Yeah, it's like he's been risking her sleep and her life all this time, you know, and she's kind of gone along with it of her own free will. So, you know.
Yeah, she laughs and says, sure, thanks for the cake, I'm starving. And she finally eats something, and he just looks, he's like leaning back with this look of contentment and peace and pride. He says, congrats again, detective. Never doubted your capacity since I first saw you here. Now, that is incredible. And now we have this amazing flashback, and that's true, it's not a lie. We have this flashback, right, which we saw, we're seeing the scene like all the way back from season 1 from Kieran's perspective, where Lauren is like pushing Mr. Evan, the liar and the cheat, around and saying, maybe use that time to help your company out for real this time, or spend some more time with your wife. And now we see Kieran looking at them, and there are some new panels, and you see him in the background, elegantly dressed, sipping his coffee and laughing. He's laughing at them. And this is the first time he's seen Lauren. Whoa.
Boy saw her and was immediately like, damn, I love a woman who could kick my ass. I know it. I know it in my heart.
Yep. It was definitely love at first sight. And I believe he seemed to refer to that very often, like when he was trying to talk to Kym and Will about, oh yeah, we're trying to cover the fact that they're meeting up for loon missions. He was like, yeah, we're dating. We met at this cafe and I saw her there, and like that was, and totally pulling stuff out of his head, but that's the first thing he thinks of. It's like, if he was to tell, if he ever has future children, whatever, you would tell the future kids, this is where I met your mother, at the cafe.
I know. Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, that's the first thing you thought of. Which, by the way, this line, I was like, oh my gosh, I was wondering, is he gonna mention the fact that he saw her at the cafe? Is that why he didn't kill her? because we've all wondered, right? Like we have the text in the story, if I had met you that night, like why did I kill you? Or things had been different if I had known why I didn't kill you. And it's like, we were like, okay, one of the speculations is like they know each other as kids or whatever, or does he know because of Dylan? And then there's also like, maybe he didn't because he met her at the cafe, which doesn't really make sense because then he would know. But still, I was wondering if he was going to address it, and he didn't. So I guess it wasn't because of the cafe.
I feel like the cafe scene, like even if like there's no like prior connection, I feel like there is, but even if there isn't, I feel like the cafe scene also can kind of establish that Kieran has kind of seen her lie detecting in action, which is why he was so easy to like accept it when he was like on the floor, tackled, handcuffed, and she's like trying to interrogate him and stuff, right? So, and I also think that endeared him to her a lot, which is also why he kind of like began to like tease her and like didn't mind working with her, because I don't know, he already liked her energy from before. So I don't know, I think that it's like little things that they kind of use to justify how we got here and all the steps that happened. I think it's really smart.
It's so sweet to know that he liked her right away. I'm totally not surprised because Lauren and Kieran are very well suited for each other. They just are. And Purple Hyacinth, the fact that it's a long, what's the word, slow burn romance, I think it allows you to see that these characters are drawn to each other for really legitimate, profound reasons. And one of the things that, like in a shallow romance, whether it's a webtoon, a book, a movie, there'll be characters that are attracted to each other for like no reason at all. And you're like, why are these two people interested in each other? Like, what's making them drawn to each other? But Kieran and Lauren, really, like their personalities through and through, like you can really understand why they like each other. And yes, from the very beginning, I really enjoy seeing that.
They've also had that great chemistry that always helps. Like, it's nothing to like say that you like someone, but like if you sit in a room, say nothing to each other, and there's that like energy there, it's like so good to see. And they've had that since day one.
Yeah, this whole date, it was just amazing banter. And she continues eating, so she looks like she's had at least 2 bites too. And she says, "Oh God, I forgot you actually witnessed that disastrous date." And he says, "No worries, Kym stole your thunder by banging your hand on the window. Interesting tactic, I'll give you guys that." And she's like, I dread the day I'll have to return the favor. And now she asks him, want to share? And notice there is 1 piece of cake, 1 fork. And guess what? He takes the fork that has just been in her mouth, uses it to take a piece of cake and put it fully in his mouth. He doesn't even like take the cake off of the fork. He puts the whole fork in his mouth, which, as Metch of the fandom has pointed out, means basically it's their first kiss.
Yeah, no, I really like this anime called Kaguya-sama Love is War, and it's about like teenagers trying to play mind games to get the other to confess that they're in love first. And the one big thing that they do sometimes is like, oh my God, it's an indirect kiss. Like, what if they like drink from the same drink or eat from the same utensil and stuff? So when I saw that, I was like, oh, indirect kiss, like how it was in the show. And I was just like, God. But yeah, I was just like, they're really just doing this, huh? I see. Good thing to feed us, slowly getting us to the point. It's slow, but we will get there eventually. Progress has been made.
It's awesome. It's amazing. Yeah, and he while he's taking the fork, he says, "I think your brain suffered quite enough concussions for now. Setting the building on fire can work just as good as an excuse to end a bad date. Just saying." While he's eating, he says, "Oh God, there was one time when I actually," and he's like, he's choking. He's like, "Wait, hold on. How is there a one time?" Oh my God.
That's so cute. They're having a normal conversation that's cute and not about murder.
I know. Look at his face. It's so adorable. He's so tickled by her. He loves her so much. He's so entertained by her. I can't. I really can't. I'm so happy. It's just like, they're just, like you said, having a normal conversation. There's no stress, no tension. I mean, okay, fine. They are kind of referencing like, joking about their life, but still it's amazing. And it's so happy and it's so peaceful and joyous and just the good stuff. And this is how their whole life should be. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, I'd like to point out that it's like this is the first time Lauren's actually enjoyed herself on a date. Like way back when it appears that her uncle had a thing of always setting her up with, what about this guy? What about this guy? He's eligible and they'd gonna date, and she'd get bored really fast and she'd be zoning out. And I think kind of one of the things, if the Mr. Evans date was any indication, one of the main things that those guys tended to do would be they just sit around and talk about themselves. Yeah, I did this and I did that and yada, 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 yada. And they don't allow her to be an active participant in the conversation, really. And anytime they do talk to her, is to flatter her. So it's kind of the thing of kind of Kieran does one thing, they do have this connection, but also he does treat her like a human being with thoughts and feelings, and so she lets her share her stories that she wants, and he makes commentary back, and they're just having a normal back and forth.
Oh, I know, it's awesome. They're so good for each other. Yeah, and they continue. The back and forth is amazing. She continues and she laughs. She's like, no, I was gonna say there was that one time when I might have accidentally knocked over a candlestick at a New Year's party and almost started a fire. I was leaning against the wall and God, I was bored out of my mind. I swear the soiree was painfully long. And he's just leaning back and, you know, that grin, that like, oh, I love you grin.
He just loves hearing her talk.
Oh, amazing. Oh. And he's like, so I see. It wasn't accidental at all. So cute. And she's like, I guess I fell asleep without even noticing, slowly leaning towards the table. And that's when and then she's just like, she's talking and he is just staring at her with besotted eyes. The expression, once again, amazing. The ability to draw besotted Kieran. Oh,
you know, one word to describe Kieran in this scene is content. He's just sitting there. He's just happy to like being able to talk to her and have this like nice casual moment, and he's enjoying himself and he's not stressed about anything. And it's just so nice to see, especially when you compare it to what happens later behind you when he has to like go back into his murder persona, and it's sad to see him kind of just shut down, where before we see him so like animated and happy and lively with Lauren, and then with everybody else it's just mwah, but also sad, but happy to see for now.
It's amazing. It's gorgeous. You see him like it zooms out a little and she's like raising her hands and being all animated while he's just leaning back and absorbing her. It's so beautiful. I was a little I guess the next scene I was a little like waiting for some drama to happen. Like I was like, is someone gonna shoot in through the window? Like, and then the next panel is it zooms out even further and it's the building. It says 1889. It's the cafe building. It seems to be mysteriously isolated, like with nothing else on either side. But whatever, I'm assuming that's just for graphic purposes. But there are two cars, one in front and one on the side. And I'll be honest, I am a little sus of these cars. Because I'm like, why do we see them? I think someone's spying on them. What do you think?
I didn't pay any mind to the cause, honestly. I saw that was a theory kind of floating around. I was just like, I think it's just there to fill this space and not make it look as empty in the shot with the building. That's just me.
Joy, what do you think?
I don't know. I think we'd have to kind of see if it ever comes up, because honestly, I can get how you can think that there could be some spying, because it's Purple Hyacinth after all. You can't trust anyone, and you especially can't trust the authors. So, but it does make sense. Did we see other people in here? Yeah, there's a few other people, so it could be just their cars or something. Like, you're not gonna expect a fairly well-known establishment to be like dead empty, especially since this is the time that everyone got off work. So it's like, I can see both. We'll see. If something comes of it, then Mindy was right. If nothing comes of it, Bundin was right.
Yeah, we shall see. All right, so now we switch to the palace, and we have first it's night and then it's day. So I'm assuming it's saying it's the next day, right? Is that what it's trying to say?
I don't know, because it could be, but I kind of assumed that this scene here with Lauren and Kieran transitions into what we see after this palace scene where they meet up with everybody else, because Kieran's wearing the same outfit.
Okay.
So I figured, I don't know, maybe if I kind of looked at this and thought maybe it was like to indicate that they had been talking about this whole revelation in the file that Lauren gave Dakan for the entire night, potentially.
Okay.
That was just me. I could be wrong.
I like that. That makes sense.
Also, they go to celebrate Lauren getting her promotion. I figured they would do it on the day, but also maybe that was just because Kym wasn't released that day, so they did it the day after. But for me, I think it's the same day.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. So they are in Dakan Rhymesville's office, and the king is saying, "This is astounding. The proof in this is unequivocal," which is complimentary to our dear detectives that have been working on it. "How could he have been hiding right under our noses this entire time? If Redcliff is one of them, then who else among the noble society can be?" Wow. Finally he thinks maybe the people around me are not as trustworthy as I think. I love this king. He's so naive.
He reminds me a lot of okay, I know that you haven't watched House of the Dragon, but like the king in that show, he's kind of just content to let his ministers run his stuff, and he's like, everybody's kind of doing their own thing, and I don't want to be like politicking and dealing up with all these factions. I just want everybody to get along and have a nice time. So he gives me very that vibes, minus the slowly disintegrating over the course of the story.
Oh,
but
no.
yeah, very kind of a naive, non-proactive king, kind of letting everybody else kind of sway him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if this, sorry.
Good.
I'm thinking like, so the king could also be on his own journey throughout this series. Like I think one of the first time we see him, he's easily swayed by like what the nobles are saying, what the queens are saying, but he still is a good man at heart. He still does have an idea of what's right, and he also is very much aware that things do need to change in their society. And I think he does know what needs to change. He's just needing to take up the leadership. And I don't know, we haven't seen him a whole lot, but I think the story is kind of trying to push him with some of these revelations, like, oh, Redcliff and some of the nobles are kind of not as much on my side as I would think they are. And it's finally getting him to start realizing, hey, I need to step up as the king. I am the leader of this country. And if I want to see the change that I want, I need to step up and lead it, and not just wait for someone else to. So I think that's kind of the arc that he's going on.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if Stephan ever paying so much attention to him, but I think that would be a great story for him. I would hope to see that kind of growth from him.
Yeah, it would be interesting to kind of see if there's any sort of progression on his part, or if he kind of just keeps as he is, and then by the end of it, he lets his own complacency kind of lead to his overturning or death or the end of the monarchy. Be interesting to see if there's any sort of progress with that.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to see what the political structure will look like by the end of this this story. But anyway, I thought the transition into the next, he goes like, oh, who else is suspicious? And the next picture is like the queen and Dakan. The queen is, her back is to us. Dakan's back is to everyone, and he's crossed his arms. Stephan is like missing an eye and has crossed his arms. I mean, they all look so horribly sus. It's just hilarious.
It's like, which one of these three will it be?
Or all three?
I mean, I don't know. The queen and Dakan seem so antagonistic towards each other. I don't see them. Well, they could have just their own motives that are just generally not good, but are divergent.
Yeah, I don't know. I still like my queen theory, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
I still like it. But yeah, it's a hilarious panel. I think it's very well composed and very ironic and very funny. He's such a funny guy. And he's like, and you want to organize a parlay at his ball, huh? And you focus in on Dakan, and Dakan looks very grim. I don't even know. There's so many reasons he could be looking this way. It's a little hard to read his expression. I guess my first thought is that at the very least, Dakan did think that the parlay would be effective in meeting the people, right? And he expresses that later. So even if whether Redcliff is or isn't PS, he really understood and has a strong conviction that the people needed to be heard, and that meeting with a PS is necessary. So I think he's sad that is not going to happen, which I totally get.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. And the queen, of course, is just going off on her rocker, and there is no negotiating to be done with them. They have been mocking and taunting us for too many years. If those circus be arrested and put behind bars immediately. Oh, God, lady. Like, let's just assume the circus members are anything but circus members, and just put them in jail for being.
She really doesn't understand how bad the publicity is on that whole thing. Like, she's not understanding that she and her actions will not go without consequence, and that her vendetta against just being as harsh as possible is not in her best interest, or the best interest of her family or her position.
Mm-hmm. Joy, you were saying something?
I know, it's like the queen has always come across to me as someone who is very power hungry. She just reminds me of a lot of real life politicians that they make all these laws, and and some of them sound good, some of them don't sound good, but you almost wonder how much thought are actually going into some of the policies that get passed. But she either doesn't think about them, or she doesn't care about the consequences, because it's not like she has to deal with them for the most part. And so she just, a lot of hers, like this, I think later she talks about, let's just raid the underground or something. That's like second or third time she has said that. And so she is all about the power show and asserting her power over people. But yeah, and I think when you do get to that level of power hunger, you don't really start to think through a lot of implications, either to yourself or like long-term implications of them.
Mm-hmm. I think that's exactly right. I think that she's blinded by her negativity, and to the point where she isn't even thinking in terms of her own self-interest, which it sounds ludicrous, but then again, people act like this all the time.
She's being very reactionary and very short-sighted, and not really being smart. She's kind of seeing it as very black and white, and yeah, like you said, is not really acting in her best self-interest. She's just acting in the way that she wants to kind of flex her power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Dakan, of course, is not that into it, and she says, I don't care if this cursed leader sends his entire armor of assassins to kill Redcliff at the tower. I cannot tolerate this humiliation any longer. And your own son has been working for them. Oh, whoops, sorry, that was the king saying it. Never mind. I was enjoying the dramatic voice. And
you do the voice well. I was gonna say you really put the bitchiness and the exasperation in it.
Thank you.
One thing I will say about the queen is that she really just does not care about the people at all. The only thing she cares about is her own power and her son, I'm pretty sure. So, and again, she doesn't realize that working in the best self-interest of the people is also in the interest of protecting her son.
Mm-hmm.
But power.
Have you studied the history of revolutions? The royal children do not end up alive.
A lot of the times, yeah. No.
Yeah, sadly. And now the king looks at Stephan and he says, and your own son has been working for them. This is sickening. Were you aware of any of it? What tells us you haven't been collaborating with them too? It's like, yes, we have questions.
I was kind of surprised that they mentioned Raphael. I wasn't sure. I didn't even think of him being included in the file on on Redcliff, but it makes sense that he would be because it's information that could be useful to them.
That's
So
too.
yeah,
That's a really good point because now is Will going to find out, and is he going to be mad at Lauren
for not telling him. Mm-hmm.
Stephan, I have to say, I know everyone loves to hit on it, but he looks fantastic in this next picture. He's got those amazing blue eyes.
He looks so much like his sons. It kind of makes me mad, but also I'm happy to know that they'll age well, especially Will.
Yeah, I mean, he has a more square face for sure than Will. Raphael has a bit more of a square face, but yeah, I mean, he's very good looking. And this man, and then the queen says, "Don't be ridiculous, Philip," which makes Dakan raise his eyebrow. Now, I first saw that, I was like, wait, is the queen defending Stephan because she's trying to cover something up that she knows?
Yeah, I think that the queen and Stephan are in cahoots somehow. That's why I'm not 100% sold on Stephan being involved in the Phantom Scythe, just because he seems so traditionally adhering to like the current class system and like, with his son and everything. So I'm just like, I personally don't know if I can see it if he's involved in some other thing to just get more power, then maybe. The fact that the queen is defending him and that Dakan finds that interesting kind of indicates that there's something there. Whatever that is, I'm not sure, but it makes Dakan kind of be like, interesting, what is happening here? And they're by definition us. So I like that.
What do you think, Joy?
I think there might be a lot more stuff going on, like behind the scenes, because I'm not 100% sold on the queen actively being in the side. That seems way too much of a stretch to have a very open stance against the poor oppressed people in your city, and then also have your hand in this organization that says they are for the poor and oppressed. Like, you can't serve two masters. But she, like we mentioned before, she's very power hungry. She could be working on her own little coup d'etat that could be more like as much of a threat as the site is, but perhaps even more so because she's doing it covertly. Like, whatever it is that she and Stephan and company are planning.
Yeah.
All right. So you were saying how Dakan is suspicious of this raises his eyebrow at this defense. What do you think of that?
I'm thinking there's probably some like other side thing with the queen and Stephan that's also like their own little coup d'etat or whatever to try to amass more power for themselves. And I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I think they're doing their own thing that's unrelated with the scythe, but it's kind of like they're trying to wrest power for themselves, and they're doing that covertly. So I think that's a side story, but also if like it's kind of an interesting thing, political intrigue thing to have in the background, but for it to actually come out in the story, I think that would make it a little too clunky.
Yeah.
Definitely something. It's intriguing and fun. And now Kieran, what's his name? Stephan says something, and I wish we had Lauren around to lie detect this. He says, "I knew nothing of it, Your Royal Highness. I disowned Raphael since he left to be with some lowly so-called actress from the South Shore." As far as we can tell, you murdered that lowly actress, and that's what caused him to leave. That's what we've been picking up.
Yeah, for Raphael to call him a murderer, the fact that Talia has been missing for like 10 years, that he's still butthurt about it, like, suspicious.
You just say that with a cold, calculated face. And he continues. He says, "I never heard from him again in over a decade, nor have I sought it. If he has indeed been collaborating with the Phantom Scythe, he deserves to rot behind bars." And in the background, you still see Dakan just with his, crossed arms. And the king says, "We will see if he corroborates your version of the story once we find him. He's apparently been missing for a while now." And what does that mean, missing for a while now? As in missing for like all those years, or missing as in like the last month?
I think like they would have known, like if they had heard about Raphael being around, they would have informed his dad and stuff. So I feel like they mean that like missing 10 years thing, but like I don't know.
Okay. And Stephan says, and I will glad you helped you catch him. And Dakan looks at him like, my reading of that look is like, how low can you go? Like, how can you be so dismissive of your son? Where it's like, no matter what your child is doing, he's still your child. And it's like this callousness to his son. That's how I view Dakan's expression. But obviously it could be so many things. What do you think?
I think he's just kind of generally, he's just been sitting there and listening to the back and forth going on this whole time. I think he's just kind of obtaining, like, he's kind of keeping things in his mind, thinking things over and stuff. It could be a bit of that, considering how much of his own paternal instinct is there for Lauren, for example, like wanting to like make sure she's okay, take her, like was thinking of taking her to the palace and stuff, but wanting her to have a normal childhood. So your point actually is really interesting, because I didn't really think of him kind of judging Stephan for being such a terrible father, but I could definitely see that. I don't know, I think he's just kind of reading the room and kind of seeing what everybody is saying and before he speaks.
What do you think, Joy?
It might kind of be all of the above. Like my first thought was maybe kind of suspicion, like he thinks it's somehow suspicious that Hawks is just so eager to jump in on his son, like he's been connected with Hawks and Sinclair's have kind of been, and I think Marge have kind of been like, there was the gain or something like that. So surely he would know how Hawks has been treating the son that is left well. So it's not like this is the first time he's realizing that he's a bad father, but I think he might see that there's something suspicious with the way that he's all of a sudden so eager to join in on the manhunt and offer, I'll help you. Like you said, some of it is like, this is supposed to be your son, and yes, he isn't the most tender, loving father on the planet, but maybe he thinks that's still a little too soon, because he's just maybe too eager to disassociate. Somehow. Like he's, especially after, like, I don't know. I think he finds that somewhat suspicious. Right now I can't think of why, because he's already disowned the son over loving the wrong person, so to speak. So maybe
Dakan has some personal experience with that. Yeah. And the king continues, and he says, we've already found their hideout at the Devils. As far as we know, they are virtually defenseless now, which is a really big estimate. Like, he's like, does he really think he got all their weapons? Like,
yeah, I was about to say, like, they probably found a decent chunk of their stockpile and their arsenal, but I doubt that that's all. The only cache that they have is probably the largest, but they're not defenseless by any means, I would think.
Yeah, well, with the king, they're naive.
Yeah, I think also some of that is they've been getting some pretty big hits. I mean, ever since Loon came in and started helping them, they have really cleaned house on the Phantom Sight thing. Like, they had a whole factory arc where they had this nitroglycerin that was gonna use a bomb, and now they've found another hideout for the weapons. So they are cleaning out pretty well. So I'm thinking from that perspective, he might be thinking that it's going to look a little more optimistic, but also, yes, never underestimate the Phantom Sight. They've got some tricks up their sleeves.
Yeah, I guess it's just, indicative of the king's naivete. And he says, if we get our hands on one of the leader's generals too, one of their pillars, we can make the rest of the organization crumble. Which makes me a little nervous, because it's like, either he could be referring to, let's say, someone like Stephan, or is he is he like, maybe is this like a Kieran related thing where he's like, well, if we catch the purple hyacinth, then we'll make them crumble? I'm nervous.
I was thinking maybe generals he meant apostles, since those are like kind of the big like movers and shakers of the organization. So that's what I thought. I was like, and like the file clearly says that Redcliff is like on the rocks with the leaders, so they'd probably want to go for someone else, but we really don't know who any of the other apostles are other than Redcliff. So
yeah, okay. I was wondering, like, I feel like it's going to be referenced to in the future, like it's going to be something that's a goal, and I'm nervous. But
yeah.
And Queen is like, this is our chance now. Take over their underworld, destroy their network, extort information by all means possible from Redcliff and the other phantoms we will capture. End this scourge once and for all. Oh, lady. Whatever.
Stop being so like gung-ho about this. Be smart and think for more than 2 seconds and stop being so reactionary. God.
And Dakan is very wise at this moment, and he says, we have to act quickly, but not rashly. Finally speaks. The file says it here. The leader must be aware of Redcliffe's shifting loyalty. He must already be prepared to assassinate him and function without him. Which is like, Dakan, do you know this because of the file? Do you know this because of some other reason? He's like, I've said it before. We might be able to paralyze the Phantom Scythe by swarming the underworld, but their popularity amongst the people has been rising over the last few weeks. The king is listening very intently. Yours has been spiraling down. And he just like goes straight to Elizabeth. Like, not even, no punches held or barred or whatever. Falls barred.
She needs to hear it though. She needs to hear that she's sounding like a crazy dictator and not like, and that any action she takes can result in like a revolution.
I think it's great. I'm very proud of that he's doing this, because like someone has to tell him. I mean, he's been trying for years apparently. And Stephan is getting bullied.
It's good that the king has not really surrounded himself with a bunch of yes men, and that there are people who kind of challenge things. I think that's really important to have in any sort of like organization and government or anything like that, where you can't just have people being like, yes, let's go with this thing. Like, difference of opinion, perspective, whatever is really valuable. So I think he's being the voice of reason right now.
Yeah, it's great. And Dakan says, we have to give the people what they want, or soon enough your heads will be rolling on the ground next to the apostles. Strong words, man. Strong words. And you kind of have to wonder, is there a little threat there if he's part of the PS? Like, is that something he's thinking about, like that he'll be involved in making that happen?
I still have hope that he's a good person.
Oh, I think even if he kills Elizabeth, he's still a good person, personally. Elizabeth, I mean, besides the fact that I'd be sad for little Arthur, like...
That's what I was about to say. It's like, I don't want that sweet boy to lose his mom. And that's the only reason I don't want her dead.
Fine. Send Elizabeth far, far away. She can go to like a country home with her little son, and she should just be occupied in, not politics at all. She can do arts and crafts. They can go to the river. They can farm. They
crochet. She can learn how to knit.
Yes. Paint. Watercolors, piano, anything but ruling.
Yes. She's not suited for this life.
And he's like, Redcliff is adored by the public thanks to his philanthropy and advocacy. So arresting him officially would only add oil to the fire and anger the masses. There is a much more intelligent approach we should consider. And you should listen to me very carefully. All right. And then we have all 3 people looking at him intently. We have the king, we have Stephan, and we have the queen. And that's where the sequence ends.
Glad that they're listening to him, at least. Hearing him out and not shutting him down immediately. It's a good change of pace.
Yeah, and he's being forceful. I have to, for me, I have this whole thing with it where I have to learn to be more assertive in the workplace. Very assertive in my personal life, apparently, but not in the workplace. And it's a whole thing about like, dynamics and how people get along and how people will treat you and blah blah blah. It's just something that's very much on my mind. And I really like thought of that when I saw Dakan. It's like, he is trying his best and he's being outspoken so he can save the organization, right? it's maybe difficult and you'd maybe rather like do something else, but he's trying his best to change it from within. He's trying.
See if him trying pays off.
Yep. So now we go to the hospital and it is daytime and we have the doors opening and Kym rushes out. She's like, oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's so cute.
So glad that she's finally able to be in the plot again.
It's adorable. And she is like literally running out. She's like, the warmth of the sun, the freshness of the breeze. I forgot this is what freedom tasted like.
Okay, I just now thought of she's almost acting like Rapunzel, from Tangled when she first breaks out of town. She's like, you feel the grass, the way they dream baby. Like she's acting like she's been stuck in the hospital for 18 years instead of like what is it? A few 18 days, maybe a month. No, not quite a month. Is it a month? A few weeks.
I don't remember anymore. I can't keep track of the timeline. I think we could track it because of the cave, blah blah blah. But I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, she's acting like she has like she's been in prison for this super long time, and in the grand scheme of things, she hasn't been in there all that long.
And Lukas is coming out, and he's been in there longer, so it's cute that they're coming out together. But he's just like nonchalant, and he says, "Well, actually, he's more than nonchalant. He is downright, abusive. And like, get your photosynthesis out of the way. I want to go home."
A+ Lukas line. We've missed you, my boy.
I love it. Yeah. And she grabs his neck in a chokehold, and she's like, "Somebody needs to teach you how to appreciate the simple pleasures of life," which is 100% true. Girl, yeah, boy. I mean, and he's like, "Not sure how he'll achieve that by sending me right back to the hospital." And she's like, "Oh, come on, you were barely in there for a few days because you almost died. Don't be so dramatic."
This coming from the girl who's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You go.
I'm like, she's telling him, "Don't be dramatic," and I'm like, this is coming from the girl who was making a big deal that, I am finally free after being trapped in this hospital for a couple weeks, a month, or however long. That is not 18 years.
Yes.
Yeah, forget that. Lukas was in a coma. He was fully out of it for several weeks. I think Kym has been in there for maybe a week or two. So yeah, wow. And they both get out at the same time. Just shows how dire his condition was.
And now we have the sweetest thing ever. We have all their friends coming to greet them, and it's Will in front and Lila who's like, and Lauren's laughing, and even Kieran is there. And look at the crew; they're so cute.
Look how sharp William is looking.
I know,
Boy,
right?
Dressed up, he's looking dapper for the in-laws. I maintain, and for the future wife.
Yep. And Lukas is like, "Medusa's kiss, was it? I wonder where they sell it." It's terrible. He's such a bad person. Yeah, she's like, "All right, what did you say?" And he runs away, and Will just grabs Kym, trying to prevent murder. And he's like, "Kym, he just got out of the hospital." Lauren's laughing, and Kieran is looking. Note, he is not looking at the other people. He is looking at Lauren, laughing, because he derives secondhand pleasure from seeing her be happy.
He just likes being in her presence and seeing her happy. It's beautiful. So beautiful.
I know. So she laughs, and she's like, "It's a relief to see them back to normal." And she's like, "We need to go and celebrate this beautiful day and Lauren's promotion. Let's go to the pub tonight." I was just thinking of episode 84, by the way.
Yeah, I think that's the same pub too, right? Because that was also a pub, wasn't it? It's just like, yes, more, please. I wish we could have seen it, but again, it'd probably be redundant story-wise. But
yeah,
it's fun to see. But this episode's already really long, so I don't blame them.
And Kieran's like, "I'm afraid I have retired from my successful singing career due to unforeseen circumstances. I am sure William," claps his shoulder, "can carry the show alone." Oh my gosh, the adorableness. The adorable.
No, okay. Putting down my phone. I need more Will and Kieran moments. 'Cause I need them to be guy friends. I need the bromance. I need it. I love it. This one interaction made me so happy. Just like, let the boys be friends. Let them be bros. I want it. I need it. So good. So cute.
Yes. Exactly. We see a whole lot of like Lauren and Kym and like all the girls, but we never really see like we haven't really seen Kieran with much anyone outside of Lauren. Kym a little bit. He's done some interaction, but not a whole lot with Will. But I think it's very clear that that there has been a lot of interaction like behind the scenes, that they are developing this kind of bond where he can joke around. He's free to kind of joke around with them. And one thing I would love to see is like Kieran and William just sitting together and they're discussing their love lives the way guys do. It's like, yeah, she's such a great girl. Like, I don't know. And one of my favorite things is you talk about, oh, she's a great girl. Yeah, wonderful. Those pensive golden eyes. Wait a minute,
Aw.
she has blue eyes. Wait, are we even talking about the same girl anymore? And they, like, I don't know. But I don't know, that's kind of based on some other show that I'd seen, but yeah, just having them maybe talking about their respective love lives or whatever else, or maybe even trying to, or just general talking.
It's gorgeous.
That would be cute.
Amazing. And then Will responds in kind, and he's like, "Whoa, throwing me under the bus like that, Kieran? I thought we had something going on between us."
Oh, love Will going with the joke, laughing with it, joking around. We need more jokey, fun times, Will. Kym's influence, I swear.
Yeah, I think you're right. And Kym just grabs Lucas by the collar, and she's like, "Just found the right replacement. No, found just the right replacement." And he's like, "Why wouldn't it be you and Lauren, huh?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's true. Kieran says, that should be the ladies' turn now." She's like, "All right, challenge accepted." And Lauren's like, "No." And she's like, "Sorry, guys, I got a lot of work to catch up on lately." Which part of it is like she doesn't want to sing, but part of it I think is she's like, I can't really go to a pub, or I shouldn't really go to a pub.
Yeah, she's sleep deprived. She really just wants an excuse to go back home and take a nap.
Yeah. No, because like also like, okay, the cafe, but like, she should be hiding, girl. Like, or keeping a low profile. And they're all just laughing, everyone, and it's so cute. Kieran and Will and Lila and Kym, and even Lucas looks like there's a little grit on his face. And it's just the sweetest. And then they all head off together, and it's the most beautiful panel ever. And it's just so beautiful to see a moment of peace and of respite and of beauty.
The sky is gorgeous.
The sun. Yeah, and now Lauren is looking at all of her friends. She's looking at Kieran laughing with Will, Kieran laughing with Kym, and then just Kieran. And she thinks to herself, she has a smile on her face, beautiful smile, and she thinks he looks happy.
He deserves to be happy all the time.
I we're speechless.
I know.
I love this song.
Yeah. I think this is really kind of impactful for Lauren as well, because, sorry, I don't mean to ruin the moment, but I don't think she's really seen Kieran like this happy. Like, I know we were like talking in the circus, like in the one where she was hypnotized, and like Kieran was getting a kick out of having her act like a kid and being happy and carefree, and she's kind of having her own moment where she gets to watch her beloved just be happy and not have chaos hanging over his head. I mean, they probably still are, but he's not like showing it. And it's not like it's weighing him down at this moment, because he can just enjoy the presence of being with friends and be joking with them about whether or not they should go to the pub and sing and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's kind of, she knows a lot of his background now, and she knows where he comes from. So I think it's given her a lot more satisfaction to see him looking so happy and peaceful in this moment.
Yeah. Right. That's why it's so meaningful, because he's so rarely had it before.
Yeah, I think the only time that kind of comes close to this is when they went to the New Year's party with the rest of the precinct, right? And like obviously that kind of got like mulled down when she began to remember like the revelations she had heard in the circus the first time. But like when they were singing and drinking and dancing, it was all really nice, and she got to see that side of him kind of be carefree and happy for once. And I think like her seeing it again now is just kind of like it makes her happy to see him happy, just like how him seeing her happy makes him happy. It's mutual.
Yeah, and someone actually had brought out so that in the last at that bar scene, he mentioned something about, oh yeah, I have plenty of friends I can set her up with, or set you up with, and it was a lie because he has no friends, but now he does. The baby has friends.
The baby has friends.
And now for more, what?
And so I feel like this group in the 11th precinct is particularly friendly, and I think they all do have a genuine heart to serve the people and protect them. And so I think there's just something about this group specifically. I kind of realized that that's kind of what happened with Harvey, and why he became so ineffective as a spy was because he started making friends with this group in the 11th precinct, and as he became friends and started joking with and doing pranks with Kym and all that, he was suddenly, I don't want to be working against them anymore. I don't want to be reporting and trying to thwart them in their mission, and starting to realize that what he's involved in is wrong. I think that might be the main reason why he was offed.
That's really interesting. I never thought of that, but that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that would be very sweet and sad at the same time. Yeah, that's okay. So now we have even more sweetness. We have Will, of course, only Will, accompanying Kym home. And her parents open up the door, and her mom's hugging her, obviously like squeezing the life out of her. And we have this like super handsome young dude who looks like he's 25 years old. And it's like,
Kym's dad looks
Kym's dad.
Kym's dad is a dilf, guys.
I know. He doesn't even look like a dilf. He just looks like a guy that's like 2 years old, or like 20 years old.
Oh, Kym's mom, you're so lucky.
Oh, it's really cute. And yeah, Will is also just making his faces, but it's adorable. It's like, I don't even question. It's like, oh, why is Will taking her home? I don't know.
Her parents were like, oh yes, have Will pick you up, and it's like they're planning to get them together. It's like, yes, we love him. Yes, so you young people have fun. You can come back home later.
Yeah.
Like, yes, that's what I've accepted.
That's awesome. And we have our Lila and Lukas walking home together. Lila and I are looking at each other, but Lila looks very happy. So whatever the relationship is, it seems to be working for her.
I also like seeing her in red. Such a nice bold color.
She reminds me of Karen City and go in that outfit.
Oh, she does.
Yeah, it's cute. And now we have Lauren, and Lauren's in bed in her nightgown, and she's just, thinking, and we don't get any thoughts. But my thought is that because we go from the panels of the couples and the couples and the couples to now Lauren, I think what it indicates is that she started to think of Kieran in that way. Like, is he my person? Will and Kym have, so far it looks like they're getting their person. Lukas and Lila have their person, and like, is Kieran my person? Yeah,
I think Lily put this really well in the survey. I forget what it was about, but it's like generally we kind of think that she is sort of evaluating her relationship with Kieran, what it means and stuff. And I don't know necessarily if it's in a romantic way, but like approaching it, I think she's kind of just thinking about how close they've become again, and how much she's grown to care about him and stuff like that, and how happy it makes her to see him happy. And I find it's ironic that this entire time she's been talking about wanting to go to sleep, but she's just lying there awake thinking, which I was like, huh. Of course, like just thoughts of the boy is like not letting her sleep.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, it's so sweet. I'm so excited. I just love it, and I'm happy for their relationships, all of their relationships to just blossom. So beautiful. But now that we've had our fluff and our happiness, all good things must come to an end. And we transitioned into Great Chapel's finest. And our dear Kieran is walking, dressed very nicely, but for a sad occasion.
Like the meme I sent, Kieran in a coat, gotta be one of my favorite genders.
Yes. And he looks very different than how he looked in the morning. He looks very depressed, anxious, angry.
I was gonna say he looks very dead-eyed, neutral, purposely kind of seeming aloof, not at all like emotional or expressing any sort of happiness or warmth anymore.
Sad. And he's like, he's walking, and then he's more walking. It's still in, what are these, like these reeds and barrels, and the setting is well done. Very gloomy, a lot of mist, nighttime. And then he says, messenger forth. And we have, the mist coming out of his mouth. I guess it's cold. And the messenger steps out. There's all these reeds, which I wonder if there's a meaning for them. What are they called?
Cat's tail?
Yes, thank you, cat's tails. And the messenger says, leader has a mission for you, Purple Hyacinth, a royal spy. And he gives them a paper with the phantom sex symbol to get rid of. All instructions are enclosed within the letter. And Kieran, it's this beautiful pale hair, gorgeous face, beautiful. Let us all take a moment to appreciate. And he looks just intent, and it's just him going from this bliss and beauty to like duty and misery. It's just that sadness, that resoluteness, but that sadness on his face. The strength, the hardening himself to bear what has to be done, and to become a totally different person when he has to, when he becomes the Purple Hyacinth.
Yeah, and the worst part is as well, two things. One, like he looks down at his hands again, because him in his hands and see the blood on his hands. Like we don't even need to see the blood at this point to know what's there, because we've seen it so many times. So like I kind of appreciate that he's just kind of like, I have to use these hands to kill again. But it is also because at first I was like, okay, who's being assassinated? Because I was thinking at first, it was like, oh, if it's Messenger 4, wouldn't it be Messenger 7 if it was Nera, since it's Apostle 7? But no, in the episode when he finds out about Nera, Redcliff is like, go and tell 4 that I need this person dealt with or whatever. And I was just like, oh no, it's Nera. He's been ordered to kill Nera. I mean, we know so far that she won't die because we see her in the 1 month later he's dead thing. So we know that nothing happens to her. But I'm just there like, Kieran, you need to do your bestie a solid and tell her that you have to assassinate her girlfriend. Like you need to not let this happen, my brother, my boy. Don't let anything happen to Bellasi.
What if, even worse, this is like a crazy theory, what if he does kill? No, never mind. That makes no sense. No, okay. What if he tries to kill Nera and Bella comes to rescue Nera and kills Kieran?
But that goes against everything he said about their friendship, right? And how they kind of look out for each other and stuff, and like how much conviction he has in like all that stuff. So
also, I don't think he'll be killed at this point, honestly. But whatever.
Yeah, I feel like this might be the first assassination that he might try to avoid or try to like hinder or stop if he can.
Well, it could also not be Nera. Joy, who do you think it is, Joy?
I don't know. So far, Nera seems to be the strongest contender in my, just simply because I think there's a lot more room story-wise for it to go. Like, if it was Nera he's assigned to kill, and he decides he just can't do it, he might try to consult Lauren with how they can like get away, maybe fake her death, and that would give us a reason for Nera to be connected with Lauren and be familiar with Kieran's cave, because maybe they like kind of spirit her away, and he gives them like one, and he tries to give them like a corpse or something of some woman who's already dead, and say, see, I've done it.
That's good.
Yeah, I could see that as well. Yeah, because why would Nera know about the cave? Right.
Yeah.
So that could be a thing where he's kind of doing Bella a solid and like taking her in. Because as far as we know, the Phantom Scythe doesn't know about the cave either, since they've met in the cave before when his apartment was potentially being watched. So that's a good idea. But yeah, I feel like he would potentially, he's definitely going to tell Bella, I think, but I feel like he could enlist Lauren as well. And I'm really interested in seeing the implications of what goes on with that.
Yeah.
As you both know.
I mean, I'm thinking it could still be like Dakan and Stephan, but yeah, I see that Nero is the most likely potential candidate, but whatever. Maybe Dakan and Stephan. Royal spies. Well, not confirmed, but maybe. But yeah, exciting drama. Do you want to talk about your theory for next episode, Bundin?
Oh yeah. So around the time that Soph had finished working on this episode, because she would put up like previews so we can kind of tell when she's working on certain episodes on her Instagram story. She put up one of Lauren like lifting her blanket up to her chest or something, and people were like, oh my god, what is happening here? So like I saw that picture again. I was like going through my phone and I saw that and I was like, oh my, what if Kieran like immediately, or not immediately, he might still think he's being watched or whatever, but like he goes to Lauren in the night, who's still awake in her bed thinking about all these things, and he's up on her balcony, and then she like lets him in, and then he tells her about the thing with Nera, and that's when they start to plan everything, and then he maybe kind of lets go and kind of expresses more of his like sadness and regret for having to do it and not wanting to kill her. Like that's why he's going to Lauren for help, and she kind of listens and like assures him that they can, you know, work on it together, and that like she's there to help him and whatever. And she's like, I want it so bad now. I don't want to have my hopes up, but I want it so bad now.
I know, that would be amazing. That'd be awesome. Okay, well, we have 3 minutes left. So what's your favorite panel, guys? I think you were dark corner.
I mean, I feel this is just beautiful. Like he just looks so good, even though he looks so intense. But I think it's the intensity is part of it, but also like the friends. Yeah,
that is beautiful.
Yeah, the friends one is my favorite panel. It's like, it's so happy. Like you can do a screenshot or something. This is like so blissful, and yes, we know that it's probably all gonna come crashing down before too long. But for a moment, it's like the lighting, and it's just so peaceful, and you just want to grab onto that moment and hold it forever.
Yeah, I feel like those two are like the standout individual panels, but also the entire date was just beautiful.
Yes,
and I loved it so much.
I mean, there's so many panels, but I'm gonna go with this, which you obviously
him just like listening to her.
Yeah, the one where he's like just I can't hear her words anymore, but he's just zoned out in bliss.
Yes, I feel like that is a good choice, Mindy.
Oh, they're beautiful. I mean, the Friends one, and there's so many nice panels.
Yes.
All right. Well, this was a fantastic episode. Thanks so much for coming on. Such a pleasure. So much fun. Oh, I'm still dying over this.
It's very, very good times.
That's gorgeous. All right. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thanks for having us again.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Have a good week. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you to my current patrons: Susie, Lady Libris, Lily, Molly, Veronica, Emily, Jo, Rochelle, Saucy Toggles, Anne, Rose, Alexa, Misty, Joanne, Esther, and Watching You People, Emily, Jean, Jen, Kay, Lily, Beckett, Christine, Sadie, Teresa, Mrs. Castaldo, and Emma Pora. Your support is truly appreciated.